Hello, Greg here. I have a number of razors that have arrived that need honing, and I thought we would take on this razor together. This is a Greaves, nominally 6/8, but it measures 11/16 from the edge to the top of the grind. This is a, let's see if I can show it to you. This is a wedge grind. Come on, let's go. It really wants to, maybe it comes back. There we go. This is a wedge grind. You can hopefully see it next to my hand there. It's also obviously been refurbished. And so the first thing we want to do is check the pin. The pin's good. And then the next thing is the condition, especially after refurbishing. And so you can see based on this pitting here that's left over, that and just the general condition of the razor. I mean, this is a late, probably late 18, somewhere mid to late 1800s razor. It's been heavily polished, and not polished enough that the etching, which says the Canadian, so the etching isn't gone, but the razor itself has been heavily polished, and in particular I noticed that there's no longer any spine wear to speak of on either side. And this may not show up on the camera, but all of the edges are rounded. Everywhere that would be a little bit more defined on a razor in close to new form or new shape would not have edges this rounded. And in particular, the edges over here are far more rounded and less defined than the edges on near this shoulder over here. So we know that quite a bit of work has been done on this to restore it. And so the next thing we want to check, and I'm going to pause while I get a little straight edge. The next thing we want to check is what's the, if I put a straight edge from the spine to the edge, how much distance is there between that straight edge and the spine? And that's going to tell me, I already know that I'm going to need to use tape because the spine width itself has been ground down. So I already know I'm going to need to use tape in order to reach the edge. The real question is how much. So I'm going to pause, go get a straight edge, and I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. Here I have a little machinist rule. So let's lay this on the spine, and this is about at the center of the razor, on the spine, and as you can see, there's almost no distance between in the wedge, within the body of the wedge, between the edge and the spine. So I'm going to be starting with certainly, I mean, I'm tempted to start with just one, maybe two. I think I might start with 2 layers of electrical tape, and if the spine is small, I'm sorry, if the bevel is small, then I'll cut back to one layer of electrical tape. So this won't be a perfect shaver, but at least it'll shave. The next thing to do, of course, is to check on, let me move this a little bit down, check on flatness. I have to have this down in order to check, so you'll take my word for this. On this side, if I lay it flat, I have a little bit of rocking on the spine, which is not surprising given that the grinding was more for aesthetics than geometry. The edge itself comes up. If I rotate into the plate, the edge itself comes up at the toe a little bit. On this side, what do we have on this side? On this side, lots of rocking. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling on this side, so tape is going to help with that a little bit. And I've got glare in my own eyes. Hopefully you don't have a lot of it. No, you don't. Yeah, so on this side, it's going to take a fair amount of manipulation on the stone. The heel comes up on this side. If I simply rotate in, the heel comes up, but I can rock on the spine to get the heel down a little bit. So this is going to require a fair amount of manipulation on the stone to get it right. But again, the tape will help because the tape gets us more on top of the edge, and so that helps to take out geometry issues as you get into lower and lower angles. So you take a higher angle in order to eliminate problems that occur at lower angles. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to get set up and then we'll start. We're back. I've got 2 layers of tape on the spine. Wide Sharpie marks on both sides of the razor so that we can see whatever edge develops. Previously I did check for sharpness. It's not really going to matter on this razor because we have to replace the edge with a different angle at this angle. But there really was no edge. There was burr that I could feel on both sides, which means that the edge was squashed up. So anyway, I've previously rinsed this stone, but let's put a little bit more water on it. It also has some slurry on it. And let's get going. Let's see what we get. The goal here is to simply see how wide this bevel is going to be. And it would be wonderful if we could get away with less than 2 layers of tape, but it's going to be what it's going to be. All right, let's take a look. So I'm not even hitting the heel here. Let's see if I can, yeah, you can sort of see that. I'm not even hitting the heel. I'm barely hitting in the center. I'm not hitting on the toe. On this side, kind of the same thing. Where I am hitting on this side is, Where I am hitting is there's actually dark line all the way along the very end of the edge. So I'm going to continue with this a little while and abrade down into the metal a little bit and see where I get. Okay, I quickly moved to the 500 here from the 1000. I did it within about 30 seconds because I really wasn't progressing very fast with the 1000. And I've spent maybe a minute on the 500 here. And as you can see, hopefully, I'm progressing, but there's definitely a little black line still at the very apex, so I need to abrade down to that in order to get an edge. On this side, it's kind of the same story. Let's see, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, it's kind of the same story on this side. There we are. I've got a little black line along the what will be the apex. So I'm going to continue on the 500 here for a while until I wear down into an edge. The bevel is pretty wide, as you can see, even with 2 layers of tape. So this commits me to 2 layers of tape for this sharpening. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, just checking in. I've been on the 500 for a little while now, making some progress, but you can still see there's, maybe you can't see. Let's see if we can get this thing to, come on. Yeah, sorry, I'm having a hard time getting this to focus. There's a little bit of Sharpie on the very edge, and I can feel burr along the way here. On this side, it's better. On this side, yeah, on this side it's better. I've actually removed Sharpie through most of the edge except for the very heel here. And part of how I'm doing this is using the tape as a guide, but I'm really sharpening this like a knife. I have a lot of edge bias. I'm making sure with my fingers that I'm getting pressure all the way across the edge. I'm making sure that I move pressure along the edge. This is something I would do with a knife. What we really want to try to do is wear down both sides of the razor so that we can get some sort of an edge at the center. As you can see, the bevel is going to be pretty wide, even with two layers of tape. It's going to look pretty shiny. I'll bring it up to about 12K if I can. The other thing that we have yet to determine is whether the steel will even hold an edge, but we'll know that around somewhere around 4 and 8K. We'll know if the steel will hold an edge, and if it will, the polishing that comes with 8K and 12K will at least make this bevel shiny. So I'm going to continue, and I'll bring you in for a status report. Okay, I'm back. I'm still on the 500. I've been able to remove material down to the very edge on both. Down to the very edge on both sides of the razor. And the problem I'm having now is I'm actually treating this as a knife, and I'm trying to deburr it. I have burr that forms on both sides of the edge. I've been pretty successful at getting the burr off of this side. When I go to this side, I actually lift up. I lift up pressure off the tape, and then roll the edge on the stone to really try to remove the burr. And when I do, I can get the burr off of this section is removed of burr, but as I get closer and closer to the toe, I feel burr. And let's see if I can even get that to show with a glint. I don't think I will be. Maybe this thing will go into macro mode. No, it's not. It's not going into macro mode. So yeah, I can even see roughness in the steel right along this area here. And if I remove that roughness, or if I do what I can to remove that roughness. I'm concerned that what's happening is that because I can feel burr on this side. I'm concerned that the temper of the steel, to be honest with you, I'm now concerned that the temper of the steel is simply not going to hold up for a sharpening. So I'm going to do a little bit more. I'd like to try to see if I can get get this deburred, and then I'm going to evaluate and see what the next steps are. So I will not make you wait through that. I'll come back to you with a status report. Getting a little bit impatient. I think the 500 is taking too long. I have a pretty good edge in this direction. It's moving slurry pretty well in this direction. In this direction, this side of the razor is simply not wearing down fast enough. So I'm moving to the 220 Nanohone that I have here. As you can see, the bevels are starting to take shape fairly well. And so it, this may be a 5/8 razor by the time I'm done, but I'm starting to get some bevels into it. And so I'm going to work on the, especially on this side, on the 220 Nanohone, to see if I can speed up the shaping of the edge on this side, primarily on this side. It's pretty good if you watch the way it moves slurry. It's pretty good on this side, but it does not move slurry well up here or back here on this side. So I'm simply gonna work on it a little while on the 220, see how primarily what I'd like to do. I'll be working both sides because I have a feeling that I need to work this side of the razor to push up the edge. The bevel is a little wider here than here, and so if I move the edge in this direction, then these kinds of strokes will sort of cut off at the apex and then equalize the bevel widths. And so then I'll know that we're approximately in the center. So I'm going to continue working on the 220 for probably not too long. I think I'm close. And then I'll check back in with you. Okay, I'm back. I may have misspoke before. I get confused sometimes. The wider bevel indicates a shallower angle on this side of the razor. The narrower bevel indicates a steeper angle. So what I want to do is to make this side of the razor steeper. And the way I've been doing that is to basically sharpen it like a knife. I'm wearing away, I'm literally lifting it off the stone. And because I've got skills, I'm simply holding that angle to wear down the apex on this side, so that when I lay it back down, the angle when I do lay it back down, the angle from the tape to the apex will be steeper, and hopefully eventually match this side. So I'm going to continue grinding away. This is still the Nanohone 220, and when I've got some shaping done, then hopefully I'll check back in with you, and we'll move on. So I'll be back. Okay, checking back in. Just a couple of moments actually since my last recording. I started deciding to check to see about evenness of flow over the edge. And as you can see, it's not bad. I don't have good pickup on the heel on this side. It starts to pick up about here. I'm going to see if I can finesse the heel through the stones, but I'm not going to worry too much about sharpness on the heel. if I can get most of the blade sharp, acceptably sharp, then I'm going to leave it at that. There's going to be an awful lot of shaping required to get the entire edge sharp and meeting the stone, and so I have to decide whether I'm going to put that much time in or not. So anyway, just wanted to give you that update, and I'll be back. Okay, I've now reached the stage where I can flip the burr on the razor, and also deburr the razor. So I finally have an edge here that's actually not real sharp, but it's an edge, and more importantly, I don't have any burr. So that's a first for this razor. I'm going to move. I don't want to do too much on the 220, so I'm going to move from the 220 back to the 500 and spend a little bit of time there doing a little bit more shaping and refining, and then hopefully we are on our way. So I'll check back in. Okay, we're back on the 500. I'm really just showing you what we have. Doesn't feel right yet, but feels pretty good as I come in this direction. The edge feels pretty good. Doesn't feel real good in the other direction. So I'm going to move to the 1K, see if I can bring up any kind of an apex at all, and then we'll evaluate from there. Okay, I've got about 30 seconds into this 1K here, and I wanted to show you movement across the edge, which is very nice. This is starting to look more razor-like. I'm actually back onto the tape. I replaced the tape coming off the Honin 220. And so this is new tape. And as you can see, the slurry is moving across the razor pretty nicely. I am having to roll to get up into here, and I'm also using, when I'm doing half strokes, I'm using a fair amount of pressure up there to accommodate for this razor. But it's getting there. As you can see, this is actually looking razor-like, and we're on the 1K, so I'm not going to do a packing peanut test yet. I want to see if I can start treating this more like a razor than a knife. So I'm checking for burr. I have a tiny bit of burr in that direction. Tiny bit of burr in that direction. So let's treat it like a knife. And gotta get my fingers dry here. Yeah, so we're good there. We're not so good there. I flipped the burr. Now we're pretty reasonable, not great here. See if we have any kind of an edge. Yep, starting to have an edge. So I'm not quite, in my view, I'm not quite between the transition of knife and razor. So I'm going to do a little bit more, and I'll be back. I'm back. This is actually another day. I was interrupted while I started on this razor, on this Greaves. I was interrupted while I was on the 1K, and I had just started to get an edge. As I said, this is the next day that I'm talking to you, and I've been going back and forth between this 1K, the 500, and even a little bit on the Honin 220 to try to get an edge that is uniform and sharp. And I've just gotten that, so I'm going to show you. This is the edge coming off the 1K, and so I'm going to show you where we are. As you can see, I'm pretty easily push cutting the packing peanut now off the 1K. This is kind of what I would expect from a knife. I can get a knife this sharp. The way I'm sharpening this razor, I will show you, because of all the finesse involved, I'm using the Sharpie trick constantly. So I'm going to move to the 2K, and I'll show you what I have to do to try to get sharpness from pretty much the heel, not entirely, but very close to the heel to very close to the toe. All right, I'll be right back. All right, this is the 2000 grit Shapton glass. I usually call this the 2K. Here is the razor. As you can see, I have Sharpie markings on the edge on both sides, and I could normally with a razor I could easily go from the 1000 grit to the 4000 grit, but with this razor, since I've really just established an edge, I'm going to take this step in between by going to the 2000 grit. So here's what I'm doing. This would be sort of a normal sequence of half strokes on this side. And when I show you, well, and so here is where a normal series of half strokes is removing Sharpie, and that's because of the warpedness of both the blade and the spine. So to deal with that, I finesse it using pressure. And so I start at the heel. As you can see, I've got my focus of pressure there. I move that pressure along the blade, and then as I get to the toe, I've literally got, this is wobbling, so I've literally wobbled it onto the toe, and now I've got my pressure on the toe side of this blade, and so now you can see. So now you can see that I'm in pretty good shape. Let's see here. I'm in pretty good shape, but you can see that at the toe, I still have a little bit of work to do, and at the heel, I'm pretty good. Yeah, at the heel, I'm pretty good. At the toe, I have a little work to do, and the way I do that is to simply, really, I don't have much pressure on the spine. I'm definitely rotating pressure into the edge, and then focusing pressure at the toe. And so you can see now that I've got, well, let's try it off. You can see now that I have that marker pretty much removed. I'm not too worried about where it curves up and starts to get into this little Spanish point, which I guess that is. So I'm not too worried about that. But I do want sharpness as pretty much where you see my finger. I want sharpness right here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the same sort of thing on the other side to make sure that I have edge coverage along the way. So I'm going to continue on the 2K, get an edge, and if everything is okay, I'm going to go to the 4K, and then I'll come back and give you a status report. Okay, I'm just coming off the 4000 grit or 4K, and as you can see, the bevel's starting to take on quite a bit of shine, which will improve with the next step. You can tell from the wideness of the of the bevel that quite a bit of grinding was done on the spine. I mean, this is a very, very wide bevel, especially considering that I have 2 layers of tape. Tape is holding up well. It is worn down a little bit, but I'm not tempted to change it. It's very, very smoothly applied, and it seems to be holding up well and not giving off material. So I'm tempted to just leave it go. Let's do a test. Leave it alone, I should have said. So there's very good. Again, this is coming off of the 4000 grit stone. A little bit noisy. Could be less noisy. I think I could do a few more laps and get that down, but I'm going to try to move to the 8000 grit and see how far I can get this using the same process that I just showed you. So I will check back in after I've worked on the 8000 grit. All right, I'm finishing, excuse me, I'm finishing up on the 8000 grit here. I thought I'd show you what it looks like. I'm definitely having to continue to roll. I'm using the Sharpie trick, but I have nice movement of the slurry over the blade as I roll, and that's what we want to see. I have to remember to get my pressure down towards the toe as I push the blade away from me to get that nice and sharp. And I think it's about time that we took a test. See what excuse me, see what sharpness off of the 8000 grit looks like. Hopefully not too noisy. With this razor, given the issues, I'd be happy with acceptable shave, but you never know. I mean, this is a very low angle as a result of having so much grinding on the spine, so it might shave really well. You just don't know till you get to that level. All right, so let's see. We're at an 8K packing peanut push test here. That's very good right there. Also very good. Very good. Pretty much silent, which is really nice to see off of an 8K. Yeah. So, what the heck? That's very good. I see by the time that I need to run outside and do an errand. But the next stage is going to be a little bit of time on the 12K. I did replace the tape, and it's interesting. Let's see if you can see this. You can see the polishing line. The tape really did add some dimension, because you can see that by the polishing line on the bevel. I mean, that's where you want to be putting the effort. You want the effort down towards the apex. So I would say everything is looking pretty good, actually, given the amount of work that I've done on this. Sharpness wise, pretty good, evenly sharp, pretty much the length of the blade. So I'm enthused. I have to do this little chore, and then I will be back to finish up on the 12K Nano Superstone 12K. All right, I am just finishing up on the Nano 12,000 grit Superstone here. I'll show you what it looks like. I have very nice flow of slurry over the edge. I don't have a good flow in this corner, but it isn't bad. Right in this direction at the heel, I don't have the greatest flow, but I've put a lot of time on this edge, and I think it's going to shave well anyway. So I'm going to certainly test shave it first before I do any any major more work. I've taken a image of the edge at 8K, and I will show you that now, and then I'll come back and chat with you after I've had a chance to clean up the razor and strop it. So I'll be back. All right, I'm off of the 12K. I took the razor to a hanging fire hose linen strop, and then also a hanging leather strop. The edge itself is a little uneven at the heel and at the toe, at the very heel and at the very toe, but it's actually quite uniform everywhere else. And so I took a photograph of the center, which shows typical condition after stropping here. And so the only thing left to do is the final sharpness test. And as expected, it's sharp, but not super sharp there. But then right there, we're getting into almost, well, no pressure to really break the skin of the packing peanut. So, and this is a very dense packing peanut. So this is quite nice after stropping. It'll be interesting to see how this test shaves. I purposely did not spend a ton of time to get the edge sharp right there. I definitely wanted it sharp at the toe because I and others use the toe quite a bit. I do use the heel, but you know, if it's not sharp right at the very, very point of the heel, that won't bother me, and I assume won't bother anybody else. But it is sharp there. Has nice even sharpness throughout, silently pushing into the packing peanut. So the next thing is the test shave, which I will bring to you tomorrow. Thank you for staying with me. I hope this was interesting. Certainly a different challenge than what I normally show. Thanks again, and I will see you soon. Bye.